the screenplay and then trying to make the film.
So obviously that you just sort of covered a lot in terms of going from first hearing about the story to having a screenplay. But let's start with approaching them in terms of, you know, as someone who might be inspired to tell stories like this from hearing, you know, an interview like that. What was the process of getting to know them?
So when I first heard the story, I thought it had just come out, so I was like chasing the guys down. I found the reporter who produced the piece. She was at 60 Minutes, and she introduced me to the guys. And it turned out that the story had aired originally 5 years earlier in 2005, and a couple of the big studios had optioned it, but never scripted it. One company optioned it, and then another picked it up, and nobody had done anything with it. So by the time I came around, I was this independent filmmaker living in Brooklyn, and I was like the opposite end of the spectrum. And I think at that point they really welcomed the idea of taking, you know, another direction and trying to get the film made. So I met him a couple of times. Colin had moved out of New York City. He was living in Georgia, but I went to go see him and spent a bunch of time with Carl. And you know, I think eventually I just proved to them that I wasn't going to go away. And so the persistence really, I think, meant a lot to them. And they worked out a life rights agreement, which gave me the sort of exclusive ability to develop the material. And then it was really, you know, months of research, just trying to interview everybody who was involved, both of the lawyers, the trial lawyer, and then the appellate lawyer. They're both around, and they were really, you know, helpful in the process of writing the film. The last witness who comes forward is based on a real guy who I spent some time with, and some of his dialogue just came from a couple hours of talking with him. And then a lot of the court transcripts were used in the film, so both in the trial and the parole hearing, which really to me plays sometimes, I think of it as being a little bit over the top, that this parole commissioner is telling him to, you know, look up words in the dictionary, but that's all from these transcripts. So it was, you know, sort of this fine line of what is remarkable about this story that should be in the movie, and then what's just so over the top that people won't believe it if they see it. So there was a bunch of stuff around the trial that we pulled out because it was just too over the